imagine you've been.
What'd you say?
Seems like I just saw you. It's hard to imagine you've been to and from a hospital since then.
Oh yeah, I know, right? So, sent you a picture.
Hell yeah,
Yeah, his name is Cool Jason.
that's a
Oh,
good
wait a
name. I
minute.
like it.
Shit. Actually, I wanted to cut that out. I didn't want to put his name on here. All right, I'll just cut out that beginning part.
Got to do some
So,
editing. Yeah.
so yes, so we'll start from here.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, yes, back from the hospital.
All right.
And I'm back from the hospital. Nobody
Okay.
else is.
Oh, okay.
Because the wife has the Rona.
No.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I already knew she pretty much had it, you know.
Really?
Well, yeah, we were at a funeral maybe 3 weeks ago. And after that funeral, she got sick, and then it kind of went like her whole family, everybody got sick.
Huh.
You know, nobody had, everybody's out of it, nothing more than a cold. Like, I shouldn't say a cold, somewhere between a cold and a flu,
Okay.
And every single person, not every single person, but most of them lost their sense of smell and taste.
Oh.
So that's where we were like, okay, that's it's like, okay, that goes with stuffy nose, but also goes with the Rona.
Well, keep going on that. That reminded me of something, a discovery I had a couple days ago.
Oh, okay, and that's kind of the thing that I was getting on is it's kind of building on that topic that we had touched on the other day, and that's just the immune system. And the fact is I'm the one, and I just got tested today, but they don't have the results back.
Huh.
But the difference between whether I had it and I fought it off, whether maybe I have it now because I was, instead of being in just a house together, we were in a sealed off room together.
Whoa.
Yeah, because the room was sealed off. They didn't want to really expose us too much because they suspected when she came in, that she had it. She's on the tail end of it. She's almost, no symptoms really left. And so she got the test back because they were keeping her yesterday. They kicked me out just for suspecting. Anyways, so she got it, and they're keeping a baby. Like they took the baby out. Yeah. As soon as we had it, we saw it for like a minute. She didn't even get to hold it.
Oh.
Because she had symptoms of the coronavirus,
Yeah.
So it really sucked.
Whoa. What's going through your head? I mean, with little man and everything.
Well, I mean, everything I'm reading shows that the studies are pretty good on their resilience to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not to say that it's anywhere out of the woods, but you're not really out of the woods with almost anything.
Yeah.
But especially with this going on right now, man, it's you really, and I've been looking at it for a while, and only today when I was looking at it, is it really such a bad thing? But the thing is like we're going to. It's like, okay, well, number one, if I do present with stuff with it, which I hope I obviously hope I don't, more for the safety of spreading it than, just having to go through it myself.
Yeah.
Like I said, everybody else seemed to have gotten away with, I mean, she had a stuffy nose. She didn't run a fever, nothing like that.
No,
So it's like, the more that you can keep up your immune system. And I was reading articles today on immune system and exercise and all that, trying to support it, but honestly, I got to it. I'm like, we know what the articles all say. There's no reason to go through the science on, I mean, it'd be like me talking about the science of how strength training builds muscles.
Yeah.
Who fucking cares? We know that strength training builds muscle. We don't need to tell the general public
How it works. Yeah.
how strength training builds muscles. Everybody knows that strength training helps build muscle. Helps keep, and strength training has been good for osteoporosis. I don't need to explain Wolff's Law to tell you that strength training is good for osteoporosis.
Of course.
We don't need to talk about, like, it's just that it's like, but the total, the fact that everybody seems to be devoid of any addressment until things get to a point where it's like we have a very weak population.
Yeah.
The population is weak. I'm sorry, but if you have a population where 50% of it has, more than one chronic condition, that being, chronic condition due to lifestyle,
obesity, diabetes,
metabolic disease, metabolic disease, cardiovascular disease, and chronic pain. You're like, well, and all of that goes along with a severely diminished immune system, and immune, and then, and of course we have the autoimmune diseases in there as well that are also diseases of lifestyle.
Right.
And so I'm like, dude, just do the basics in nutrition. Drink your water, eat your fucking vegetables, eat enough protein, have some cholesterol, have some reasonable amount, then get enough sleep. Strength train, enough to keep yourself healthy 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Have cardiovascular activity 2 to 3 times a week. Medium.
Get sunshine, vitamin D, man.
It's like, you don't have to be Spartan about things to be, to strengthen things up to a level where they're optimally healthy. It's not rocket science, but still people eat the sugar. People eat and it leads to, it's like, well, the longer you have these things, or the more you present with symptoms, the longer your body's not rejecting it, the longer it's hanging around, and the more effect it has on population as well. And I don't want to be one to preach to people or anything. I've always been a preach not teach sort of fellow.
Sure. Teach not preach.
We want to just remind everybody that, hey, there is systemic consequences to what happens to each individual. And so the stronger individuals can be, the stronger the system will become.
Strong. Now they're going to come out of the woodworks and start strong shaming. That's going to be.
I've always thought it should be. That should happen anyway.
Right.
Bro, do you even lift?
Do you even lift, bro?
Yeah, bro.
No, that is a crazy twist in terms of events, man. But yeah, I agree with just the weak population thing. I don't want to sit up here and like I'm not sitting on a high horse or whatever. But you just look around you, and I always talk about it though. But like my grandfather, I had 2 grandfathers, both lived to be into their 90s.
Yeah,
and it's because they were always active. They weren't afraid to do things themselves. Where now we live in a society where people just want to outsource everything they can. Don't want to take on like new skills, new tasks, new challenges. Why, when you can just pay to have someone service that? And the economic drive there. I mean, you've seen everything just plummets and people get depressed because the economy's built up to sustain how many billions of jobs around the world. When really, like, there's not a need for that many jobs.
We have an expansionist economy based upon usury.
Yeah, well, that's where you get like excessive consumerism, because there's products and whole companies built around wants, not needs.
I think, and this is conjecture completely.
Yeah.
But I think it starts out with compound interest. And that compound interest is usually charged, not gained. It's like, well, yeah, you can invest and get compound interest, but a lot of it starts off from the core of the finance, the finance thing.
Yeah.
And then, it's an interesting, just, I guess, thought, and like I said, all this is conjecture. It's just a thought exercise.
We're not an economics podcast. I'm not
Uh,
gonna start breaking out statistics or anything. So
no, but I will go into that. Actually, I do want to go into that when it comes to healthcare economics.
Yes.
I mean, I might not go into it today. I don't even remember what I was going to say about healthcare economics, but
Well, that'd be a good conversation to prepare for.
oh, sure.
But yeah,
I mean, it's interesting because you get, I guess, if we get the situation we have right now, it may, it's like there's a lot of people sitting around without a purpose, and purpose is very important for disease prevention. They say that people when they retire, their lifespan goes
within
down.
5 years, a lot of people.
It's like 5 years after retirement or whatever. Whereas in other countries where they continue to like garden or help out with the kids or the grandkids or something like that, then that doesn't happen. But I think that then with when we have a population that's sitting at home playing video games, and eating shit, I think that there's a lack of a lack of a special purpose.
Yeah.
To quote Navin Johnson.
And we all know what's good for us, what's bad for us. Maybe not to the degree because people don't feel it immediately, and maybe that's part of it. It's like it catches up to you down the road.
Yeah, it's always a reactive thing. Oh, I caught this.
Yeah.
No, you didn't just catch it. You left your body susceptible to it. And I'm not saying that you did. I don't have a prescription for being totally devoid of disease either.
Right.
It's like shit's gonna happen. Shit's gonna roll around, but you can definitely do
due diligence.
I said do.
You can do
due diligence.
Yeah, no, I mean, and there's always outliers, right? It's like the fam, the whole her side of the family. Interesting. None of them were critically ill or anything like that, and they got it. But you hear about the outliers, like I've heard of Olympians that got it.
Well, her side of the family, none of them are critically ill, and nothing bad. But I would imagine that if they were, healthier, in terms of how they eat, how they move, if they followed the basic stuff that is the core of your and my profession, that you'd see a very different outcome. We wouldn't have a population that's afraid, as of this. We are now.
Boy, I gotta wonder. I've been thinking about it a lot. Like, what kind of generation of germaphobes is this going to produce? I mean, moving forward, like you talk about weak populations, we have products for everything, and it's amazing just like how dependent we are for products that don't even not just talking about like cleaning products and over sanitizing stuff, but even just like I don't know, just all these little products that exist to like spiff things up around the house or make this easier and that easier. And it's just like, none of this is necessary. We don't need any of this shit.
No, but I will tell you, but if it's solving a problem, I think it's good. If it's a problem in design, if it's a problem with, I can't tell you how excited I am about the and one of the biggest things with design that I love is like my pants, the adventure pants type thing. They're pants that you can move in, they stretch, they're amazing. I love those.
Sure.
Well, those wouldn't have ever come to be without innovations in textiles.
Yeah, again,
an innovation comes over time with improved product design, and so I don't think all consumerism is bad or anything. It's just
I'm not saying that
everything, or you have to buy something for everything. Like you and I were talking about fucking throw pillows. It's like, dude, throw pillows, the most useless thing ever.
Yeah.
What else? Candles. Candles, decorative candles. It's like, don't burn that. It has a wick.
It's right. Just there to sit in the wrapping. Well, that's how a lot of people treat their bodies now.
And all the cleaning things. You're right. I mean, there could be one cleanser. You probably don't need. You see the thing where look at a guy's shower and you see like one body wash, head wash, shampoo. It's good for everything. Then the lady has like 15 different bottles out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, we probably don't need to overmarket and oversaturate with things that aren't necessarily useful. But I don't know. I don't think it's all that bad.
No,
But we would like
what every product and every advertisement, it means a job for someone, and so that's why just in general products are pushed on people that, again, our needs are met with basic things: food, clothing, shelter, clean water, utilities.
Yeah.
Those are met, but then a lot is in excess, and again, just the consumer mentality of the whole population. It's just designed to exchange and buy things because there are so many people whose livelihood just depends on other people buying things, and that's the nature.
I agree. It's an expansionist economy, and I suppose that if it is an expansionist economy, and that leads people to have to work more specialized jobs. They're at home less. They're doing less of the things that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And that's and maybe I think of it right now. I'm like, well, it could go one way. With everybody staying at home, it could go to everybody becoming sloths. Or they could start doing their own. They're not paying the gardener anymore. They can start doing their own stuff.
Dude,
maybe they enjoy it. Maybe you do enjoy cleaning. You still got to clean the house, clean the bathroom. You still got to, you don't want to have, still germs all over the place. I mean, we love the old Carlin thing. We used to swim in the Hudson River.
Raw sewage.
Raw sewage, and that's why we didn't get polio. Yeah. But also, on the other hand, I mean, you could have somebody from Wuhan going, you know what? We used to eat bats.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, well, you can't, you can't predict what that is. I mean,
totally.
They say that hygiene is one of the big leaps we had. But the other end of that is if you're too hygienic, you wipe out natural bio.
Right.
And your body doesn't have to have a chance to react. So, I think there is a healthy balance. Just like training. Just like yes, train your body, but if you overtrain, you're gonna also be racked with injury.
Right. Well, it's hard. Seems like it's hard to do or hard to ignore, like balance in those things, because now there's hysteria. So everyone's overly sanitizing everything. When this goes away, I wonder what kind of impression it's going to leave on, especially like younger developing minds where they've seen this and they like, to them this is a normal part of life, I guess.
Well, I don't actually mind so much of the of like some of the sanitation stuff. I mean, the wiping off of the carts, that's always been kind of gross to me anyways. I mean, but also kind of not, I kind of always liked the weight room thing where it's like, dude, I'm sorry, but the weight room is, it ends up training the immune system.
Yeah.
It does. In the context of in a general context of things that we've become adept, our systems have become adept at defending themselves against.
Well, yeah, and so there's as we know, and again, neither of us are experts on the immune system, though we have limited knowledge in our field of interest, but there are so many different factors that play into a healthy immune system. You said sleep, diet, exercise, stress.
Stress
I can tell you. When we first opened up with the COVID news, I made a little discovery in the last couple of days too. That I can't officially confirm it, but I'm pretty sure. I was just looking into, because I have the pre-existing lung condition due to a severe respiratory infection that I had in 2003, 2004. So I looked at it, and I was wondering. I don't know how I stumbled on this, but I stumbled on the last outbreak of anything like this was the SARS-3. You remember that?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think this is a branch of that.
So the coronavirus is a branch of the SARS. Well,
yeah,
I am 90-something% sure I had SARS. which they weren't able to identify. And this was back in 03. I looked. It was
Oh,
a
really?
pandemic. It was a pandemic that another one originated in China in April of 2003. They only had a few cases in North America, but they had quite a few, like Australia, China, Europe, even some into Africa. But it did make it to North America, primarily Canada. But
How the hell did you get it at Camp Pendleton?
well, that's what I don't know. That's what I'm wondering. Again, I'm not going to go in the conspiracy rabbit hole, but I've talked to other veterans. I've talked to other veterans that seem
They kind
to
of came up with something for absolutely no reason.
right. No, I'll tell you a couple things that might make me think that led me to think it might have been SARS. Just the but first, I've talked to other veterans who've mentioned, like, after they got deployment, and this was right after I got some deployment immunizations.
Yeah.
Every now and then, I'm not saying one way or the other, but I heard an interesting conspiracy theory, and there's a population of veterans out there that talk about being experimented on with viruses with how they think they have been or whatever.
Yeah.
I knew a guy 10 years ago when swine flu was out whatnot. He's like, oh, I had that about 15 years ago. He's like, I swear I had the same thing. I swear it was swine flu. They didn't know what it was, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, whatever. It's like, because I told him about my illness that I had. And he's like, I'm telling you, they gave you something. There's no way someone as healthy as you should have been floored the way you were. Again, I was in a high stress situation, but I was floored by the way it attacked my respiratory. Sounds exactly like the effects they say that SARS and the coronavirus have, which, they are respiratory diseases. The thing that makes me most suspicious,
but it makes sense. It makes sense, dude. Because how are you going to catch it out there? You're not.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was saying, yeah. I mean,
no, tell me
again. Maybe I don't know, but it was, I'd say, 5 days about after I had the deployment vaccinations. I got a ton of them. They didn't tell you what they're giving you, but
yeah.
Anyway, I don't remember this part. I was in intensive care for 4 days. I was in the hospital for a total of 2 weeks initially, and then went to like a light duty squadron at the hospital, and I relapsed and went back in the hospital with pneumonia. But before that, my first time in pneumonia, or first time in the hospital, during that 4 days in ICU, I was in and out of consciousness. I was bad. I had family there. My grandparents, my mom, and my aunt were all there, and waiting around out in the intensive care unit where they could hear doctors, see people coming in and out, seeing me. My doctors kept saying, I'm amazed he's still alive. This kid should have been dead a while ago, or stuff like that, saying things like that.
Yeah.
But the kicker is, all my family vouches for this. They say, I don't remember this at all, but they said a team of all Chinese doctors, speaking full out Chinese and everything, came, examined me a few times, like a team of specialist Chinese doctors.
No shit.
While I was in intensive care. Again, I don't remember this, but my mom, my aunt, my grandparents all said they were vouching for this. They're like, yeah, it's so weird that just like a team, they're all speaking Chinese, they're all Chinese doctors, and the doctor said they were brought in from China. The doctors that were looking at me didn't know what I had. They weren't able to diagnose anything. They diagnosed it as adenovirus that turned into bacterial and viral pneumonia, double pneumonia, and that's what fucked me up. But it sounds like the exact way that they were initially treating patients with coronavirus. Like, we don't know what it is. We can't really diagnose it. We don't know much about it. I never got an official diagnosis until after they wrote my discharge papers. They diagnosed me with adenovirus, which turned into double pneumonia. But they were treating me for everything from valley fever. I had they said 23 different antibiotics and antivirals being pumped into me at one point. They didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had 3 different IVs in my body to get all this medicine in. Again, I don't remember the Chinese doctor team, but it trips me the fuck out. And knowing that the same kind of virus originated in China that year and made its way around, and I just completely healthy individual got that sick. Again, I was under high stress situations, but so were a lot of other people.
But so is everybody.
Yeah, in my
You know, how,
uterus.
like, dude, that doesn't make any sense for you to be singled out in that. I mean, your high stress situation was just boot camp,
I got
which,
that sick. Yeah.
which was, you know, which is just everybody, like everybody in the military goes through it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, like I said, I was totally healthy. I was, one of the top guys in my company, and as far as the PFTs went and everything, and then just floored me like that. But anyway, so that's my whole suspicion. I think I had SARS, and I was looking up, like, if you had SARS before, does it help with your, your immunity to COVID or whatever? There's no real research on that or anything. So
Maybe.
I was curious about it. Yeah. So I went down a little rabbit hole
Yeah, I'm sure.
yesterday
But,
about
you
that.
know, it's funny. It's funny because looking at, you know, the baby,
Yeah.
which for anybody listening, we have a name. We're just not saying it
Yeah.
on the air. But look at the baby. It's like, what possibilities do we have? You know, I mean, possibilities are, you know, she tested positive and I test negative, you know, but I was in the same household.
Hmm.
So, you know, and then, so I imagine that my body would have just fought it off.
Yeah.
You know, that's what must have happened,
Wow.
you know, or she tests positive and I test positive and my body still is kind of getting rid of it,
Hmm.
you know, but I'm asymptomatic, but
Yeah.
still my body fights it off. So without symptoms, you know, I imagine that things are short, it has a shorter lifespan.
Yeah,
I
but
would
they don't
imagine.
know.
Like I said, I've taken
Yeah.
immunology, but I don't work
Right.
with it. You know, I took
Yeah.
immunology for a semester, not I don't work
Yeah.
with it every day or anything.
Yeah, and I mean, the nature of, like, the flu, a lot of viruses, once you get it, your body builds the antibodies to it, and
Yeah,
you have a bit of immunity, so it's hard to catch the same strand again.
yeah,
So
exactly,
that's what they're
exactly.
hoping about this one, but they don't know for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and then with him, if he has it,
Yeah.
then hopefully he has built up the antibodies. Like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that I'm reading that says, he's built up the antibodies, kind of against it already, and he's cleared within a while.
Yeah.
Which to tell you the truth is kind of the best scenario, provided he gets clear in a few days later.
The fact that it's going to be around for a while, I mean, better. I
Yeah,
mean, how if he gets exposed to it right off the bat and gets the antibodies and everything, and he's good to go. I mean, yeah, that, like
yeah,
you said, that's about the
yeah.
best
And then of
case.
course there's the situation in which he's negative, and then it's like, oh shit, it's like, well, is he negative because he already fought it off? Kind of like got
In
it
the
through there.
womb,
Yeah,
she had
or
it
is
while
he
she was
negative
pregnant
because
with
they
it.
don't have it? They don't have an antibody test yet. The
Yeah.
tests are all testing for the actual thing themselves.
Yeah, no kidding. But
Yeah,
yeah, we had I have another Ashley's best friend had a baby
yeah.
same day as you, and they
No shit, just the other day.
yeah, and
Or I mean,
they're in
yesterday.
Arizona. They're in Arizona, yeah, and so but
Yeah.
they were overnight. They try to get them home as soon as possible because trying to avoid that. But hearing a different scenario here, that I'm shocked to hear that, man.
Oh, really? Yeah. No, I was pretty sure that that was going to be the case. It's funny
Wow.
because when she walked in and she was like, they asked her, "So have you had any sniffles the last few days? Have you had any of this?" And I was like, "Nope, she hasn't." and she's like, "Well, I had this," and I'm glad she said it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I was more like, okay,
What's this? Yeah, where's this
It's
gonna
true. She hasn't really had anything, severe. But
symptoms? Yeah,
yeah, I guess I probably wasn't. Her decision was better than mine on that point,
yeah. It's like
because I was just like, no, it's
where's this gonna go though? Yeah, I mean, but that's your thought. It's like, well, where's this gonna lead?
yeah. So we
The
were,
whole
yeah,
process.
we were stuck in a room with the windows didn't open, and I
Oh,
was like, ah,
man.
man, because I wanted fresh air
Yeah,
to kind of get the air running. They had this big old like air cleansing unit.
yeah.
But dude, I gotta be convinced that those masks that we were wearing, because I had to wear a mask. Like I wore a mask the entire time.
Hmm.
I mean, I slept in the mask.
Yeah.
It is insane, dude. It's a bitch. But I guess like you breathe out certain certain things that your body wants to get rid of,
Hmm.
not just carbon dioxide.
Right.
And so, but then if you have a mask on, it's getting stuck in there and you're just breathing it back in.
Yeah.
So I don't
No,
know how bad that was either.
Well, yeah, and from a public safety standpoint, the masks are primarily advised to the people who are infectious to protect other people. It's not to keep you from getting anything necessarily, although they're more effective than not wearing one. But
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, for sure. Like I hate where I'm like in the waiting room. Something like I had strep throat a few months ago, and I wore a mask for probably like 3 hours straight, and I was getting claustrophobic just wearing the mask. I'm like, okay, not really, but
yeah. No, I get what you mean. I mean, if you have clothing or something on that isn't normal,
yeah,
it makes you feel a little bit like that.
Yeah, that was crazy.
But, anyway, so that's a big thing. Is I'm like, dude, you know what? Take care of your immune system. Because it is something where if you can shorten the lifespan of anything that's going to try to get to you, and the thing is with technology's kind of screwed us with the fact that, like you said, outsourcing everything. But what I want to ask is, why is it like the Jetsons? The Jetsons, this 25-hour work week is killing me. Dude, I think it's going to go. I think it very well may go to that point because people will work from home, but they can also, go join a kickball league,
Yeah.
And then you have more time to schedule and to cook.
Well, hopefully, right? I mean, this work-life balance evens itself out. Well, and that's the weird thing with markets and everything. I mean, the reason people are working so hard is, killing themselves to work is the inflation every year too. I mean, the housing market.
Like we live in such a usurious society.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I'm looking at my student loans and I'm like, why are my student loans above 3%? If it was loaned by the government, then the government wants more productive people, then they absolutely should not be above inflation, which is 3%.
Right.
You're like, what the fuck, dude? And you know how much that's screwing a lot of people? Like,
well, that's one of the worst systems.
Yeah, my sister went. She had like 8 or 9% when she was going to hers, and she's like, there was no way. I mean, she got her PhD, so you're talking about her and my brother-in-law. It's like, dude, that's insane. So, like, for them to pay that off, and you're talking about a psychologist and a engineer, and they can't pay off their student loans.
When you think of it, the type of loan it is, I mean, their prime customer is an 18-year-old who doesn't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
And it's the one kind of debt that cannot be erased through bankruptcy. I mean, that's so shady.
It's like, dude, you can't erase it through bankruptcy. It's given by the government, and you get a higher percentage rate on that than anything else. And so you have a higher percentage rate on that than inflation.
Yeah.
And so when you get that, it's like, it's like, well, even the government's in on that, and then you want to talk about the finance industry. It's like, hey, I remember I got a credit card that I owed for years on because I got it, and my mom yelled at me when I got it. Yeah. Like, it'll be fine. And I got it when I was 18, and I got it for a stupid T-shirt.
Oh, no.
I just signed up for a T-shirt, man. It was
Let me guess.
There was a copy of John Belushi.
Let me guess. It was a girl that was selling it
college
to you.
on it. The one that says college across the front.
Yeah.
And they're giving them out. Hey, you get
Animal House.
Hey, dude, an
Animal House. They or the beautiful girl baiting dumb-looking sucker guys walking around.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But it was just like, the T-shirt or the free stuff or the cute girl who's like out there like, hey, sign up for this. You're like, okay. Yeah. Which well, you can use that for pretty much anything.
Boy, my grandparents, I mean, they were obviously different generation, never had debt to their name. My grandfather opened his business. He sold, into his retirement with his retirement money from Ford that he saved his whole life for. He never had debt. And they always preached about just don't go into debt.
Retirement money is investment money.
Yeah. But they always talk to avoid debt as much as you can, but it's like I mean, the world we live in is just,
It revolves around it.
yeah.
And they
I
built it
mean,
up for the last, like you're right, your grandparents' generation slipped into our parents' generation, which was kind of half in between.
mhm,
They owed some, but they could pay it off. Well, we finally got it paid off. And then you go into where everybody has this standard that I don't mean just keeping up with the Joneses, but just having the basic amenities. Now it's like, dude, you got to go and take out a loan.
yeah,
Then once you take it out on that, you got to take it out on your purchases. Then
yeah,
once you take it out on the things that you need to buy because you have to have, there's more and more and more. And then, with the credit, like I said, the 25% credit card, you get saddled with that right away. The student loan, you get saddled with that right away.
mhm.
And it's like, this is this. And so you end up working more than your grandparents would have had, all things being equal.
Oh yeah, no,
And you're always chasing that, you're chasing it. And it's like, well, it doesn't mean everybody shouldn't work. It's like, but if everybody just took it back by, 30% and worked 60% of the time and
yeah,
spend more time, developing their bodies, cooking, doing their own housework, doing their own cleaning, doing,
yeah,
walking to the store, when now you drive, just things like that. And we talk about till we're blue in the face, but until you
mhm,
change the environment,
yeah,
which includes that debt, that debt-ridden society, until you change that, you can't change how people will act within it. Hopefully, just hearing a little bit more always, about doing something about it helps people get a little bit, nudge themselves towards it.
sure,
But yeah, we got to change that. You got to change how things are done in finance,
boy, yeah. I
because
mean,
it's not cool, man.
yeah,
I always
yeah,
said that 2 trillion that should have been spent. That should have been just like, okay, since all the banks, sorry, no more, interest stops here.
yeah,
For 2 years, we're stopping interest. No interest goes through. No, nobody owes anything.
if
If we're not getting anything, then our landlord's not getting anything. If the
right,
landlord's not getting anything, then they're not paying it up. And really, above the landlord is just the bank. And so if the bank's not getting their interest, they can't charge interest. Yeah, so it's like, well,
yeah,
no,
stops the
all
trickle down
finance is kind of
effect,
like has
you'd
to
hope.
hit kind of the head.
Yeah,
Now, obviously, I can't speak to the pragmatism of that. I don't know how that would go.
yeah,
Pragmatically, I mean, because you still have some people that are open. But I
yeah.
seriously think that some of that
All right.
industry could take the hit. You
I
know,
thought, yeah, initially I thought it would be a good idea, like when they're first talking about any kind of stimulus or bailout. I'm like, well, yeah, how about the commerce as far as like debt? Debt stops until people aren't starving essentially, or people aren't upside down. Like, okay, so
yeah,
so mortgages, like, if you can allocate this money to where the people in those industries can get by or pay the bills, whatever. But
sure.
basically, like, what if we're talking giant government stimulus in a crisis situation, what if, yeah, like car payments, insurance payments, even mortgages, rent payment, those kind of things stop,
Yeah,
and government, instead of giving the money to institutions, to whatever, buffer industries, keep them afloat, pay off shareholder, whatever, um, obviously maybe they just foot the bill. If they're cutting people checks for $3,000, that's just to
well,
pay people's
yeah, but what
debts
what
and stuff.
happens is the Fed just the Fed basically puts in some more zeros into the
Yeah.
system,
Well, yeah,
and
yeah.
then through inflation, that's how everybody's getting their money. So it's a tax on the public
Well, yeah,
through
exactly.
the lowering of purchasing power.
What I was gonna say is, like, maybe they foot the bill for just necessities, groceries. Basically, it's if basically people got their groceries covered when they're out of work and just didn't have to circulate all that money and pay that money, then you wouldn't be sending everybody $1,200 to basically fuck off for a couple months till you run out of money, and then what do? You come back
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
What are we gonna
exactly.
do?
But well, it was funny because I was watching something from Milton Friedman today, and he was talking about something similar. He the way he put it was like, and I just basically I liked what his rationale was. I don't really remember it enough to regurgitate it,
Mhm.
but he was just basically, nah, it's not. It's better just to give the people the money. They'll
Yeah.
they'll do best with it. Yeah, you got some screw ups. Yeah, you have a lot of people who will misspend, but he said those programs end up being so bureaucratic and mismanaged.
Yeah.
And plus, the people that are really going to mismanage the products, anyways, that they're like if they're going to mismanage
The market or
the money that they're going to be given,
Hmm.
they will figure out a way to mismanage those products, by
Yeah.
selling them or something like that. And
Mhm.
that's just what history has kind of shown through, government programs that get too complex. It's like, well, he's like, no, just it's better just to hand over the cash.
I mean, the thing about this is there's no real modern day precedent. We've never had this many people uh, under this kind of circumstance. Just kind of like sitting at home. They want to work, can't work.
Yeah.
It's so we can just speculate, and that's pretty much all the lawmakers are doing is
Yeah.
speculating. And
Actually, it was really interesting, man. You should check it out. It's on YouTube. Just look up the reverse tax.
reverse.
Look up
Okay,
Milton Friedman reversed income tax.
is this all right? Yeah, I'll have to look
It's
this
on
up.
YouTube, but it's really interesting because it's basically an answer to like how everybody's talking about universal basic income,
Oh,
and it's like that's a bad idea. And he was talking about this back in 1968, and
yeah.
he's a very conservative guy. So a very conservative guy, kind of touting the benefits of one of these types of programs over another.
Uh-huh.
And when I say conservative, I mean more like a libertarian conservative.
Like fiscally conservative, but not
Yeah, well,
necessarily
he's
not
an
necessarily
economist, so he
like
has no.
social issues, but like
Well, no,
fiscally
he's an
conservative.
economist, so he has no skin in the game when it comes to social issues.
Yeah,
But what he's talking about, in terms of, he's just a very free market guy.
yeah.
Anyways,
Which I mean,
but he's really cool. I was like, holy shit, that's a great twist on universal basic income.
huh.
And like back in '68 for that, um, you know,
yeah, a lot of people wouldn't guess that it was being discussed back then in any way, shape, or form.
yeah, because pretty much I didn't hear about it till just recently.
Well, especially during that time, since most of the world was anti-communist, something like that can easily be seen as more of a communist or socialist
Yeah, well, except
type
for
of.
you're coming from like the biggest free market guy there is.
Well, right, but just in principle, like
Yeah,
that concept is. So it's interesting to hear a free market guy talking about that.
yeah, and I don't know that he was. I think he may have been presented with the question, and so
Yeah.
he said maybe what is better is this.
Mhm.
Maybe he was just postulating. It could be one or like what's better
I'll
than
check that
that.
out.
But yeah. So I don't know that he was. I'd have to watch it again to see if he was actually touting it
Yeah.
as a really good thing. But I think he was saying like, well, what you could do is this.
Is it Friedman or Freeman?
Friedman.
Friedman. Got it. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll check that out.
If you look up Milton F, then it'll pop up.
All right. Very relevant conversation.
Yeah. But
Now
anyway,
I'm sure it's trending.
let's have a feedback on how much time we have and resources that we can spend on,
Yeah.
getting back to, our own health and our own strength. I
Yeah.
think a strong physical society is also strong mentally and, mentally and, mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
It's a huge crossover, which is, of course, why we chose the professions that we're in.
Indeed.
I
I for some of those exercises and just becoming a stronger population, a stronger individual, Tim Ferriss has a lot of great little techniques, practices, things he talks about, like minimalism.
Yeah.
Just cutting the fat where you can, editing or dwindling your consumption where you can. Even though Tim Ferriss, wealthy guy, very successful, he likes to go in periods of minimalism, even just food he eats, just living off like rice and beans, and just for the practice, the sake of, just kind of keeping you humble.
Oh, sure.
Dude, at any time, these systems our society has in place can.
I think this is also a great time to practice. I think it's almost a great practice in minimalism for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you're forced into it one way or the other.
Yeah, because forcing us to do it now. Whether that's, I don't know if everybody's minimalist right now. Yeah, I mean, maybe they are, maybe they're not.
Hoarders. I mean, you got people hoarding toilet paper. That's not minimalist. But again, I'm not about to wipe with leaves. That would be minimalist. So.
Oh yeah. Well, it depends on what kind of garden you have back there.
No, we make and reuse our own cloth out of hemp.
That just gets itchy.
That's what we wipe with. Yeah, man. No, again, there's a balance for everything. But it is good in not just minimalism, but what was the other one you were talking about? Gosh, I'm kind of drawing a blank, but yeah, even just reduction in hours, higher quality of life, changing. Well, I like how he talks about relevant income. Income kind of these days, people are going to come by income however we can. But but when it gets down to, we were talking about, just working just to buy shit you don't need to impress people and blah blah blah. Yeah, just I think a lot of people get some perspective out of this and realize,
if you think about it, like in terms of fitness or healthcare economics, like personal economics, the more that you do that, the more material. If you all things being equal, your finances, your discipline, your time, all that. If you're spending more time at the mall, for instance, or whether it's you're at the mall or whether you're at Marshall's or Ross or whatever, you're still, that time is time not spent, doing things that are otherwise healthy, like spending time with friends and family. Unless, of course, you're shopping with your family at the mall. Or exercise, which, is different. Yeah. Or cooking, eating right. If you're doing all that, there is always that opportunity cost. Every time you move towards, that's what practicing minimalism can do. It can give you more time that you could have free, that if you have that mindset of moving in a direction of health, wellness, strength, really, because we're talking about strength in all areas. You have better financial strength because you're not spending so much shit. You have better physical strength, longevity and quality of life years and all that stuff. You'll have better emotional strength because hopefully that, you have more time to spend with family and friends. But anyways, if you spend, if you're of that mindset to moving in that direction, the minimalism, I think, can open up quite a bit of space for that to happen,
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like less focus on materials, things, and more focus on yourself within. Even like cutting out the noise around you, like practices, like instead of having the radio or TV on in the background or just music playing, enjoy some silence here and there and see what thoughts spring up in your mind.
Oh, dude, I stopped listening to the radio in the car. Like
in the car, yeah.
It's weird, man. Stop listening to the radio in the car, like, at all. And at first it was pretty weird, but I did that. Well, actually, I think I did it after I moved from Chicago, because in Phoenix, you always had a radio and you had long car rides.
Yeah.
I realized that it's actually a big stress reliever too, because if you're listening to the radio, you're either trying to choose what to listen to, or you're trying to skip between like commercials on radio stations. Which, I mean, so you're either like looking for something to listen to or choosing between stuff, on radio stations. That's why I like podcasts, because they at least relieve that. Yeah. But the silence was what I did before that. I got a car and I just didn't want to listen to the radio, and I don't remember why I didn't have CDs in there for some reason or something like that. when, this is a few years ago. And, I just had silent for a while. I was like, oh, this is nice. It's like meditative.
Yeah.
And not all the time, but
right.
A lot
I'm
of
not saying.
And now it gets to the point where if the TV is just on in the background, it drives me nuts.
Yeah. Well, shit. I mean, even I don't know if you remember working at good old PFIT, but when that was a place, but it would stress me the hell out just having all those TVs with the news on. Even though I would try not to pay attention to it, but they're just on, and clients would look and be like, "Oh, there was a bombing in France," and blah blah blah. You're just like, okay, back to the workout, back to working on ourselves here.
Yeah, it's really well, and even when you're working on yourself or whether you're just being here and now, is
being
that
present.
you must draw out of that here and now presence type thing. Which I mean, presence. Nobody can stay present all the time.
Yeah.
You have to think about the past. You have to think about the future. You have to strategize, but you got to have one foot here and now, and constantly being drawn out by just noise.
Yeah.
And you're listening to something from that's very much out of your circle of influence. The bombing in France or politics, man. My God. Just constantly being drawn out of politics, into politics is like, okay, it's just out of your circle of influence. Not all the way, but I think you should kind of know what's going on, but not on a minute-by-minute basis. And how much that people get driven into the team aspect and all that stuff raises your stress levels. It's like, just turn it off while you do everything else,
Man,
I seriously read. I read. First of all, I read it. I don't watch it because watching it is all padded.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So much padding because they're just trying to
down to the tone of the voice, the delivery, everything.
Yeah, and the same story 57 times.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you read something on a little news thing on a news app, dude, I spend about however long it takes for me to take a shit in the morning after my coffee. That's how long I spend watching, reading the news.
Right.
Then I take a shower and wash it all off, and I'm done for the day. And I guarantee you, and I've come out, after being, home and heard all the same stories on the news when my wife watches it. Yeah. And it's like, I just read, oh, do you know this happened? Yeah. Without all the pharmaceutical commercials in the between.
Right.
I skimmed it, read what happened, got all the details, done, and I was done with that for the day.
Totally healthy to be informed, but again, the people kind of jumping around here a little bit, but people inherently seek confirmation bias, whether we like it or not, and that will just kind of keep feeding into our. When you want to talk about like working on yourself.
Water.
Okay, I'll just keep talking though. But when you talk about working on yourself or making adjustments, or even just self-motivation, self-awareness, when we seek out, especially just in politics, again, we seek out information that's going to confirm or verify what we already kind of are attracted to or believe. The things we won't, then we'll engage with in anger, and then a lot of times trying to convince other people who feel a different way than us, which is usually a waste of time too. So there's that aspect, but on top of the human's tendency to seek out confirmation bias, now we have softwares that Facebook, a lot of social media sites are geared towards feeding you that confirmation bias, because it's trying to get you to spend more time on there. And again, I'm not saying Facebook's evil and should never use it, although I don't. But that's personal choice and blah blah blah. But
me too.
Yeah, no, but I'm much happier since I've stopped using Facebook. Much more productive, even just my thoughts. Like yeah, instead of seeking out what people are saying, I write more down of my own thoughts. And
You know
again,
what started it all? The Real World.
the real world, huh?
That stupid
MTV.
show on MTV back in 1990, whatever the fuck. And that started the reality TV thing.
Yeah.
And that's all social media is. It's a consistent reality TV, and all your friends are the stars, and you want to be the star. And I think that my loathing of because I like social media when it was MySpace, which was just like you're not getting a flood of different topics that you're sharing with everybody. It was more like a dating site, but for friends. Like you message one person. Or you just, I don't think people put posts up like every day.
Remember everyone customized? Remember this was like the big breaker between Facebook and MySpace. MySpace, you got to like customize your own page and you'd have your own music.
Yeah, I love that. That was cool. That was fun.
Facebook is total like yearbook template. Like everyone's the same. No one's different except for in your content. And then they expanded and grew off that. And then they let it in the corporate world and it all went to shit. When businesses started using Facebook, that's when I was like, all right, I'm out. See ya.
That's funny because that's the only thing that I do on there.
Well, yeah, of course.
Pretty much. I mean, I have a private site for people so I could get messages when people use Messenger.
Well, it's an advantage you should use as a business owner. I'm not saying business owners shouldn't use it, but as a user, that's
what no, I didn't think
hate Facebook.
I mean that at all.
And large corporations started it. Like when I started seeing like all the, it just seemed so gross. They were using Facebook and Twitter on every commercial on TV. It was during like the 2008 elections is when it really like blew up in the corporate world. And I just remember I was thinking, you're all whores. You're all whores because everyone's all of a sudden just check out Facebook.com/TGI Fridays. And they're all on it now. And I'm just like, man, this used to be fun where like I would just share inappropriate stuff with my friends, but now.
Yeah, that's exactly how it started. It was like that's what you did with it. You're like, hey guys, watch this video, haha. Yeah. You didn't have to have an argument for 15 minutes for several hours, over the content of a single line of thought that you decided to share with usually for like real friends. Like your friends were actually people you knew.
So nobody
people have friends that they don't know.
And back then,
with MySpace, you kind of had that, but just in that time period, before it hadn't evolved to this huge. Like I don't know that did they even have the thread where it's like you have all these people chiming in. I don't think they had that.
Well, they didn't start like people didn't start losing their jobs over Facebook content and shit. Like, oh hey, cheers to the drinking from Mason jar.
No, there we go.
Nice. Water from Mason jar. But no, people didn't. When like corporations got involved and stuff, of course, advertisers get involved, and they dictate the content on the website. What's acceptable, what's not. Not the free market anymore. It's advertisers now, and so that it all started, and that's when people started losing their jobs over shit they'd post on Facebook. It wasn't until corporations got in there and started basically. Indirectly, they're advertisers telling people what was okay, what's appropriate, what's not. It's just another method they started doing this. But
you're
they
talking
infiltrated
about, like, that. And of course, by you saying people lose their jobs, it's about not people losing their jobs because a guy who's a teacher took a picture of himself doing blow. That sort of thing is like, okay, that guy's an idiot. He deserves to lose his job.
Yeah, he's dumb.
About somebody who works at at Xerox.
Yeah, expressing an opinion.
Post an opinion on abortion or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but now the advertisers step in and it's just one more freedom they take away from the public. Something that was a free public service for everyone to use. Now they step in, start playing police. Of course it's not that advertisement company directly telling you can't, but that's the system. They're the ones. You always
knew that though. It's like, where was the business model gonna go?
Yeah.
You're gonna either have to charge users or you're gonna have to advertise. You got one way the business model can go.
Yeah.
What they had to do was say, we're going to charge advertisers and use the data that people put on here because they figured out they could collect it to give the advertisers information about the users. And so, I read something, it is great line, man. It says, if you don't know what the product is, you're the product.
I like that.
If you don't know, or you don't know how they're paying it or something like that. Like, if you don't know what you're buying, because you're not paying for it,
they're creating the demand. They're creating the desire. They're creating the whole purchasing scenario. Yeah. I get the gist of the quote or what you're saying. It's true, man. And that's now, like, I don't know. There've been times even through this whole coronavirus scare, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, where I stop and look at myself and I'm just like, am I the sucker? Am I? I don't know. I don't want to say that I am, for staying at home and not wanting to spread this and whatnot, and everyone takes a hit, blah blah blah. I'm trying not to get ridiculous about anything, but at the same time, I'm just like, there's always that looming thought in my mind. It's like, how much is this being played against me? It's just the suspicious person in me, and maybe that's a different podcast for us to open this can of worms.
I'd say that's a different one than
definitely
probably different rabbit hole to go down.
For sure. But it's good, healthy to question things. Again, I'm not making any claims.
Yeah, and I think it's
always want to.
I think it's healthy to look at. Well, I think where it all comes down to is it's healthy to look at your environment. If you have goals for yourself, for your physicality, with and for how we're seeing how your physical nature affects everybody else.
Yeah. Well, so if you're at home right now, I think
if you have that line of thought, then you have to look at what's affecting, like, why aren't you there? Why? So it's because you say, well, I spend all of my day at work and then I spend the rest of the day in traffic, and that's not healthy mentally or physically. Yeah. And you have to look at the system that creates that. Yeah. And I've been frustrated about it for years. And so you can't not acknowledge some of those things, even though they're not, I would say they're directly related to our health, fitness, education, or, those sorts of things that we, kind of have our base subject matter about, in this, even though it still affects it greatly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that makes me think, like, I think off that conversation, the best thing that comes to mind is if you're sitting at home and you're seeing your circumstances diminishing, or you feel like you're worse off because you're at home, maybe it's anxiety, maybe your actually health is getting worse, having to stay inside, or whatever it is, you're getting depressed or whatever, then it's a perfect opportunity, because in kind of surrender to the situation, we accept that things are the way they are in the world around us. We can't change that, but we can change internally what's going on. And one of my favorite quotes, basically, I'm going to summarize it, from Viktor Frankl. He wrote Man's Search for Meaning, which is amazing.
Yeah, I love that book.
Yeah, me too. To paraphrase, essentially, it's no matter what life circumstances come at you that you can't control, the one thing you can control is your attitude and your outlook, your choice to be happy, or your choice to exist and how you want to exist. That's the one thing. Take away all your freedoms, but they can't take away your state of mind, your attitude, your decision.
No situation can,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's a good thing to just kind of leave with people, like, not to go in, like I said, I don't want to go in any kind of, I'll be the first to say, I don't know what's going to happen, or even the depths of this situation. But what I do know is what I can control, and that's my attitude, how I choose to react. And I think it's a good opportunity for everyone to, just like, if you're one of those people like, I'm so bored, I'm miserable. Well, pick up some new things that can get you out of that hole, but still allow you to get through the situation.
Dude, I leapt at the chance to do certain things.
Yeah, me too.
As soon as it was good, I was like, oh, sweet, I got some days off. I know I didn't know it was going to last as long as it would, but I was like, oh, shit, I'm going to start working on this. This podcast is a result of that.
Podcast, yeah, for sure.
I've done yoga. Oh, shit, we can do that now. Let's go. Yeah. Let's do it.
We have time to do that.
We're like, but the funny thing is if you look,
we could have.
One of the things that I noticed right away is like, it was funny because I leapt at the chance to build things on my own. But I also shit my pants going, every other trainer is going to do this. Do you know why every other trainer is going to do it?
Because it's the only thing you can do.
Because trainers they're the only real free market job that's out there. And everything else is monopolized.
Yeah, the only one I can think of off the top of my head. I mean,
the only other one is like financial advisor you can do, and you can do that with just a licensure.
Or very specialized things, but yeah.
Yeah, but almost everything else is like very highly. There's a very specific and high
barrier to entry
for employment. And that's where the college degrees. That's where those school loans and all that shit comes in. Because you're like, dude, I can't be an engineer. I can't go and learn from an engineer how to engineer.
Yeah.
Well, why can't I just take an engineering test that says you're good at engineering? Why can't there be? Why can't I go for? You can go through a test for a series of a year, then have to take all those tests and be evaluated. There's nothing wrong with that. But then you have to go through a program.
Yeah, I was gonna say those kind of tests are administered for basically as placement tests to tell you what path to go down and take your debt out for.
It's like, look at physical therapy, dude. I could have done physical therapy.
Right.
Both you and I, like, you're a very autodidactic person.
Thank you.
And that's what happens is, like, if you get your certification in whatever that guarantees that you're going to have a job. In X career, physical therapy is one of them. That's why you see that physical therapy is losing, in what it does for people to kinesiology. Because kinesiology is on the unregulated but hyper competitive. It's super hyper competitive. I looked at my Instagram and it was like, dude, everybody's got a blog out and a thing on how to do home training, how to do this, I'm like, Jesus. I was like, dude, I can't. It gets actually frustrating because I'm like, I can't. I don't know that I can keep up with these people. But all you can do is get on it.
And you find.
And so it's like, dude, I have to keep up with the entire industry. But other people, they're sitting around bored because they don't have that mentality.
Yeah.
They don't have that mentality because they got the cert. They're guaranteed a job. What's the matter?
Well,
whatever.
We become complacent. Just people in general. It's easy to become complacent, diffusion of responsibility, and think that someone's going to take care of you, or the industry, or my employer, or the government, or whoever it is going to take care of me. Going to ensure I have a job, and then
they're going to ensure you have a job, but you're still paying off $200,000 in the loans.
Oh yeah, well that's why they ensure you have a job so you can keep paying.
Exactly. Of course the inflation goes up a little bit.
Cost of living, that national debt's going up. We got to pass that somewhere. We're not gonna.
That's why you don't have the time.
We're not gonna stop spending. Fit. I mean, come on now.
That's why you don't have the time to stay fit. That's why your immune system isn't as good, and that is a partial contributor to some of the situation that we're in right now.
Don't let the outside world push you out of prioritizing yourself. Pretty much, it's like prioritize your needs in life. I love doing like pro and con lists or just listing reasons why you should do something and then things against it. And just kind of it gives you a lot of perspective. It's a very grounding exercise to do. Like I don't know, just kind of, especially when you have to get rid of shit. Like if I'm going through looking at all my expenditures, the things that I need in my life, things that I don't need, the services, the extras,
Yeah.
and then some things that are really nice to have that I just can't continue doing. I'm taking up gardening now, or I'm taking up yard work more, and I'm trying to make an activity out of it. Teach use it as an opportunity to teach my kids how to grow tomatoes and how to
There
plant
you go.
trees, and also the physical work, like I'm getting exercise with it and making sure to do it
Yeah, you
in
do
a day when I
gardening,
get
and
some
you don't have to.
sunshine.
You have to work out. Way less.
Yeah,
You know, you can
no, it's
distribute your baskets a lot easier. And
yeah,
in your activity, what you do.
yeah. So just everyone's out there struggling in their own way and whatnot, but definitely if you find that you're just this sudden change in lifestyle is really getting to you, making you miserable, there's good reason for that. And so maybe you can change the one thing you can control, just change your mental approach, change your mentality towards it, and use that adversity to surprise yourself, learn something new, or overcome some even just small simple obstacles, like improving, getting more sleep instead of staying up all night watching binge watching that marathon on Netflix, and then I don't know, whatever it is. It's good
Yeah,
to reevaluate and have goals. So
absolutely, man.
that's
All right,
about. I don't
I
have
gotta
too
run.
much. Yeah, I was gonna say that's about all I got really on this. Uh, let's get together. I'd love to do a few more